Hello and welcome back. Today I am just putting the framework together that is going to be holding our sides and our bottom pieces onto our bed we're making. So I have measured out the full length of these side pieces, and then the little pieces on the end are going to hold the footboard, and they're also going to allow me to glue to the headboard. So what I've done is I have just glued them together, and the shorter piece goes to the inside of the longer pieces. Now I'm using 1/4-inch wood dowel. If you don't have that, you could use jumbo popsicle sticks. You could use anything that would give you the right length for the outside. And then just measure your inside and you can use that. I got these on Amazon. I bought a package of them. They weren't very expensive. And so if you're looking for some of these, you can't find them locally, I would go to Amazon. So as I said, I glued the longer pieces to the outer side of the shorter pieces, because that's how our bed frame is going to fit. And I just used tacky glue on these. I think that's going to be sufficient to hold them. I don't think I need anything stronger, because once we get this part of the bed together, it's going to be very, very solid. So I am just going to leave everything there. I thought I was recording and wasn't when I glued them together, but it's just gluing the ends of the short pieces to the sides and the long pieces and getting them very nice and squared up and leaving them to dry. I'll be back as soon as they're dry. The frame has now dried, and I'm going to start attaching it to my side pieces. And I think it's going to be better to attach this first and then put the whole thing onto the bed. So what I've done is, and I don't know if you can see it, I've decided I want my mattress to set into my frame just a little bit. So I have marked down 1/4 inch from the top of the side piece right here, and I'm going to be gluing the frame I made so that it sits just right up at that line. I'm not going to go above the line, I'm just going to be right at the line. So basically the bulk of it will be right below that 1/4 inch line. So let's get started. Please keep in mind this can be a little tricky with the fabric, because my fabric ends up right about at my 1/4 inch line. That's just where I turned it. If you want, you can turn your fabric so that it goes, so that the space here doesn't show, and butt your fabric edges up together. I didn't do that, so I'm just going to be putting my tacky glue now in a line. I'm going to put quite a bit on the sides of my long sides of my frame. I want quite a bit because I want it to be able to stick to that fabric. I don't want it moving on me. So now I'm just going to try to, I'm going to turn it so I can see my line, see what I'm doing. And I want the edges of the wood to be right at the edges of my piece here. I'm just going to hold that there for a little bit so that it gets into because the fabric will absorb the glue. Make sure everything is lined up nice and straight. I'm on my line where I want to be. And you can see it's holding already, but I think I'm going to put a few little clamps on and just let that sit. Making sure I haven't moved anything when I put the clamps on. We're just going to clamp it like that for now. And I'm going to take my second piece and do the same. And this one, I think you can see the line I drew a little better. It's right here. Now, some people would say this is asking for trouble, which it probably is, but it's how I craft. You do it your way, I do it my way, because these are our projects. And just because someone does something doesn't mean you can't change it up. You can't put it together a different way. This is yours. You do what you want with it if you make one. You make it like you like. Maybe you want to do it like I did the small bed, where I didn't leave any room for my mattress to sit down inside of my bed. I just glued it on where I wanted it, and then I ran stretchers across to hold the mattress on, so it sits on top of my frame on the small bed. But in looking at the small bed, that's where I realized that I really would rather have it be this way, where it sits down in a little bit. But as with any first project, it's kind of how it goes sometimes. You're not quite sure until you get it together, and then you can look back at it and you can say, hey, I should have done this, or I should have done that. So whatever works best for you is how you do it. I'm just giving you the measurements, and I'm just kind of giving you a guide to go by. There's that. And we're going to be waiting to glue the other parts on until these parts have dried. Once again, just checking, making sure I'm right on my line there where I want to be. And we'll get this little bugger together in no time. I will see you in a bit. We'll put the end pieces on, which honestly we might be able to do at this time. But keep in mind that this piece, we need our 1/2 inch lines, and I'm just going to lightly mark those because I left a 1/2 inch at the bottom. This is going to go, okay, it's been covered. This is the one that is 3 thicknesses. This is going to go to the inside of the bottom of the bed because there's going to be more of that showing, just like this here on the headboard. This bottom part will show if you look under the bed. So I'm going to just make a couple lines, real faint lines, on the inside at my 1/2 inch mark. Let's put that over to the side and get it out of the way. The marking on fabric can be tricky because of the weave of the fabric. This is very loose, so it's very hard to mark. Okay, I just want just these as my guides so that I know how much room I have to leave when I put the end pieces on. Yes, I am flirting with disaster here. We'll take care of all of that. I was just making sure we'll take care of all of that when we glue this piece onto the bed. And then this piece we'll glue over it on the outside to finish it off nicely. That's why that was done that way. All right, so once again, I'll be back when this piece is dried. Better not do that. Better do that. I'll see you in just a bit. So I am ready to start gluing this thing together, and I realized I have a little bit of a problem here. I was originally going to do it just like I did the small bed, where the what's going to be my mattress support here, the base of my bed, would glue just inside of these and do it just like I did the small bed. But then I changed my mind and decided that I wanted my mattress to sit down into my bed just a little ways. Now this isn't going to take away from the look of the bed at all. It just means I'm going to have to cut this piece down to make it fit inside. Because you see, if I'd have done it the way I was going to do it, it fits. Perfect fit. Goes perfectly across the bed. Everything works just fine. But since I decided to recess my mattress, I'm going to have to go ahead and cut off some now. So I'm going to start by just cutting a 1/4 inch off the side. I don't want to take too much because I want to rather be safe than sorry, as my mother used to say. So I'm just going to mark out my 1/4 inch lines. And I'm going to tell you, once you get the glue on this cardstock, it becomes tough to cut. It's very, very stable and very tough. So we will take off our 1/4 inch and see where we're at. And I'm not trying to cut too hard or too deep. Just want to go across so I get a nice even cut. My ruler doesn't move. My cardboard, however, or cardstock is moving, but But you can see I'm taking a lot of cuts through here, and that's because with the glue, this has become a very hard, solid mass. Okay. And I have a nice little 1/4 inch piece of something to use for something else. All right, let's see if taking the 1/4 inch off did the trick. No, it did not. So I'm thinking we're going to have to take off at least another 1/8 of an inch. At least. I think we're going to go 3/8 because I think that's going to be about right. So this is probably good because then when you go ahead and cut your pieces out, if you make one of these, you'll already know to take off for what you have. If you've decided to recess your mattress, and you'll know that you'll have to take a little bit off to get it to fit right. So here we go again. Oops, and that moved on me just a bit. Didn't want it to. I'm pressing pretty good, but I'm not pressing so hard that it's just really messing up anything either. And we are just about through. Okay. Let's see if the 3/8, that's not 3/8, 3/16. Okay, the 3/16 is going to do it. And because this is fabric and because I have glue on it, there we go. Okay, so I took an additional 3/16 off of mine and it now fits in absolutely perfectly. So that's good. And it's good I caught that before, while we're still in the process of making it. So then when we put it on the bed and we line it up with our dowels, we're going to have a slight bit of overhang, which is fine because most of us like to, I think, put a nice comforter or something on our bed or a quilt that has a little bit of bulk to it. So yeah, we're going to do that. So that'll go on like that. You can see we're starting to get a bed shape. And yes, this bed does have a very tall headboard. I had a bed like that once, and I loved that bed. But when I moved, I knew I wouldn't have room for it because my house here is a lot smaller than the house I had before, so I knew I wouldn't have the room for it. All right, well, let's keep going. Everything is good and dry with this now, and I have marked my 1/2 inch line here at the bottom so I can line everything up. It's hard to see with the fabric, but I am going to be putting my headboard, or my sides, right up against my headboard. That's why I had that little space in there, but it doesn't really make a difference. It only would have made a difference had I decided to do the bed the other way. So we look like we're lined up pretty good there. Let's glue this piece on. So I'm going to be putting the glue on the fabric ends of the bed as well as on my dowels. And I'm going to be using quite a bit of glue again. I want ample glue. I don't want to have it come loose. And with a project like this too, sometimes there's a lot of tweaking that goes on. Just kind of gotta have it just be flexible a little bit. And that, I will guarantee you, is where sometimes someone like me gets into just a bit of trouble with this whole deal. All right. Probably not the best person in the world to be teaching you anything. Okay, and I want it down at that 1/2 inch mark there, because that's going to matter when I put the footboard on. We don't want our bed to be going all wonky, and for some reason mine's kind of looking that way. Not sure what's going on. I'm going to see if I can clip this. I don't. There we go. See? Look. Impatience. That's where it gets you. Just like that. That's where impatience will get you. Okay, so That's right up against my line I left. And possibly we're just not going to be able to clip this. I don't think my little clips are too small. I could use my bigger clamp, but I don't really see any reason for it. Make sure those are lined up right with the edges of my, this edge, the outside edge of my dowel. That should guarantee me that everything is going to be as even as it's going to get. So I'm just going to hold this for now. I'm going to find my pieces I want for the end of my bed. And oh, that's the wrong one. This is the right one where I measured out my 1/2 inch line because that's where that's going to need to sit. And again, I'm going to have the bottom sticking out a little bit, but it's going to make it really cool when we put our comforter on. The little one I tucked in at the bottom because I wanted the footboard to show. And actually it's not tucked in, it's just kind of folded over because I didn't have a lot of space. But as you can see, when the sides came out, then they ended up right even with the bed. So that worked out for me, and yeah. Honestly, I apologize because I really am kind of haphazard with my crafting. I just get an idea and I go with it. And that is kind of just the way it is. I'm sorry, I'm a bad one to do tutorials. And originally I wasn't going to do this as a tutorial because I'm such a haphazard crafter. I go with what I feel, and it's kind of how I do things. And yeah. So we're going to call this, it's kind of a guide on how to do something like this. You know, these headboards would be cool too. You could cut them down if you didn't want it so high. The one on Wayfair was very high. It looked kind of strange because they didn't have the bed all made up, I suppose, so they could show you the frame and the bottom part and everything. I think they just had like a sheet or something over the top of it. But the headboard was very high. And as I said, I had a bed like this too, where the headboard was really high. But you could cut it down. Instead of doing the dowels, you could pad it really good and then tuft it, making the little, you know, where you indent. That would be super cool. The bed I had pieces, and I know it's going to be kind of hard to imagine. I mean, if I just say it, where's my pencil? There it is, under my ruler, of course. The bed I had these little things that came out at the top. So it was like this all the way down the length of my headboard. And then this piece came in like this. And then it just kind of went like that to my headboard. And I suppose it sat about, oh, scale-wise, it sat about that far into the side of my headboard. And then it had studs in it. That was really cool. I like that. So that's another thought. You could do something like that. I don't think my eraser's very good. But yeah, it was like that. So that was pretty cool. And mine had drawers underneath of it, down on the bottom. So that's something you could do. You could lengthen it all the way to the bottom of your thing and then put some drawers on the side for storage. That was very handy. But needless to say, I wish I would have had room in my new house for that bed. But I would have had to put it in this room, and it would have still taken up a lot of the room. And my windows are in bad spots because I have 2 windows behind the camera, and I have 1 window on the side, so that takes up 2 walls. And I have a door on the far wall, and somebody put a door to the bathroom in this other wall, so there would have been very small, not room for that, a big bed, even in this room, which is pretty good sized. So I had to leave it behind. And I do miss it because it was, I love that bed. All right, so I'm going to say that that is probably glued rather well. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on. And I did make marks on the outside of it because they're going to go to the underside of my bed. But I need that 1/2 inch line because this is where everything matches up, and it becomes kind of crucial that it is all even so our bed sits even. So this is going to be hard for you to see because I have got to look and make sure I get this measured up really well. I don't want my bed sitting with like the footboard down or the footboard up. That would not be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the glue on here on this dowel going across. Put the glue on these like I did when I glued this to the headboard. And then I'm going to be flipping the bed. You know, guys, I realize there's really no good way to do this. I want this sitting just below my mark I made. Just like, oops, and then I'm on the wrong side. Oh, shoot. All right, well, at least this isn't going to show, right? We're good there. So what I need is, I need that 1/2 inch mark. I was putting in the wrong spot. Okay, and then I just dislodged that. Best to let your project dry completely before you start doing anything else crazy like I do. All right, flip it this way. Then I can see my marks. They're right there. God, I wish I could quit shaking. Results of my job, I think. Just, okay, so I've got it. So the end of my side piece is right on the 1/2 inch line. And I don't know, I think I can clip that one. Yep, I can. So I'm going to clip that on there so it sits good. Like so. Oops, and see, that's what I said. Make sure your project is dry. Don't do what I do. And then using this big clamp is not going to be ideal. So I am just going to, as long as it's sitting very stable like it is, I'm just going to put something heavy on there to keep that exactly straight. So I'm just using my miter box and stick some paint in there. There we go, and that's going to sit like that until it's good and dry. Everything is dry, and I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So let me update you on what I've done. I have glued the front piece, the padded piece of the footboard on, and I'm waiting for that to dry right now. I just glued around the edges good, and then I did put some glue in the middle so that it would all stick together really nicely, and I have clipped it so that I make sure that my corners are down because the bulk is going to be around the edges and especially in the corners. So I want those to adhere really good and tight. The other thing that I did do was I just stuck a little strip of material down here at the bottom. Across here I had the cardboard or the cardstock showing, and honestly I don't think it would have mattered once the bed was in. However, it was bothering me, so I went ahead and did that. The last part I have is to glue the back of the headboard on, and I will not be doing that with you. I was going to do this with you, but I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and glue that on, and the next time we get together we'll start working on our mattress and dressing our bed. So I will see you very, very soon with the most exciting part. Bye-bye. We are back out at the farmhouse here for a minute because I wanted to show you that I have now glued the ends onto the roof, and you see the masking tape. It is still in the process of that. I've got the sun coming in the windows behind, so it's a little bit bright. But yeah, okay, so we're going to go around to the other side and I'll show you the bedroom. Here's the bedroom with the bed in place, and I have made the curtain. I'm sorry, I'm kind of in the, like I said, I've got the sun coming around, so I don't know how much you can see, but we've got the curtain in. I've got the walls done up like I want them. And then I painted this wall also in the mustard yellow. I decided to change the color. And what I'm going to be doing for this wall over here is, this is the wall that came with the house back here. And then I had my brother cut me a piece of plywood that I'm going to be putting in here, like so, because I want them to have their privacy. And so then there will be a door cut in here. The hallway is now just a very narrow passage to get to the bedrooms on the upper floor. And I haven't got the stairs glued in place. In fact, the second floor wall is not in place either. And then on this side, I had him cut me, let's take this piece down, sorry, and I've had him cut me another piece of plywood in the shape that I need, and there will be a door right here too to get into what is going to be the son's room. So that is how this is going to go, and I will be hopefully cutting those doors out today. And yeah, so that's how the bedroom is. For the bed, I will go back to the craft room and explain the covering I'm using, how I made it, and yeah. And the bed, honestly, does not look all that big now once you put it in the house. And once I get the throw pillows on, that headboard isn't going to look near as big either. Alright, well, we'll meet you back in the craft room. Hello, and welcome back to the craft room. Move this tripod over just a bit. Okay, so we're here, and the bed is finished, as you can see. And this is how it looks with its little mattress on. I use this blue shiny fabric because I really love the color. No other reason, I love the color, and I thought it went well with the mustard I put on the walls out there. And I had this fabric, which kind of oversized print, but I love it, so I just had to use it, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. I made the curtain the same way. I made a little valance, and then I just pleated the curtains and put water on them and let them dry and glued them onto the valance or onto the window frame. Not very inventive, I know, but I've not done curtains before, so it was a first attempt. Excuse my voice, I have got so much junk in my throat. Everybody where I work has got colds and congestion, and it's not fun. But our weather has been in the 70s, down to the 20s. It's all over up and down, and yeah. So this is the cover, and this is how I made it. I lined it with the blue because I will be turning it over like that. I haven't decided if I'm going to put anything along the edges yet. But how I made it was, I made measurements of my bed, and then I drew them out on paper, and I made the center its own rectangle. Maybe you can see it better on the blue side. I made this its own rectangle, and then I cut 2 pieces for each side, and then I cut an extra piece for the bottom because I know that's going to be glued to the bottom of the bed. And yes, I am going to glue my bedding in because nobody's going to sleep in this bed. So, yeah. So what I did was, after I got all the pieces stitched together, I stitched all the blue pieces together, and I stitched all of the print pieces together. And then I put wrong sides, and I stitched this little piece on to the bottom of the print piece. And I just turned and glued the edges in, because like I said, it's just going to get glued to the end of the bed anyway. Then I took and I put the wrong sides of the fabric together. In the case of the blue, it's hard to tell. And then I stitched all the way around from one edge here, going all the way around and back here. And then I turned it inside out and clipped the corners. And I folded this blue piece over at the bottom. And then I just hand stitched that in. So it's like this. And then it will fit on the bed like so. The mattress is not glued down, and I don't believe I will be gluing it down. So then it's going to go in like this, and this piece will go over the bottom of the mattress, and all of it will fit down into the bed like so. Oops, better get it on the bed. Okay, and then the sides. And the reason I did that was because I don't like the corners that stick out because they're really bulky. And I don't like having to try to deal with those. So what I'm going to do is, once I get this like I want it, figure out if I want to put any trim on it. I'm debating putting a blanket underneath just for a little more contrast, but I have to see what I have for fabric. Then this part will fit down in the bottom of the bed, like so. These pieces will come over to the sides so that they'll lay down because they will be glued. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right up at the top edge of the corner, up in here, just to hold that together. I may stitch it, I may not, I'm not sure yet. And then the comforter will turn down like so. Oh, I wish I had a better way to show you here. Let me get a pin. Let me pin that down. So let me stick a pin in each side. Hopefully that'll hold it. So then it's going to be like that, turned down. Like I said, I'm debating a blanket so that we would have another contrast of color here. And then we'll make a bunch of pillows to put on the bed and finish it out. But yeah, I think it turned out really good, and I had it in the house when we went out there, and it's not as big as it looks once it's in. So yeah, that is how the bed turned out. It's like that underneath. I haven't done anything with the bottom of the mattress. I may or I may not. So yeah, I got a nice sturdy little bed. The headboard gives a little, but hey. So yeah, that's it. That's our little bed, and I may come back with another video where I do the pillows, but I didn't want this one to get too long. So I hope you like that. I hope maybe you'll give this a try. It was really fun to put together. So yeah. All right, well, I'm going to leave you at that and get this video up. I apologize for no video on Thursday. Last week was my long week at work, and since I didn't go in on Monday because I had a rather nasty thing happen to my finger, and I was in a lot of pain, and it was really swollen, and I didn't want to, be moving people around and stuff until it had a chance to start getting back together. I traded with someone, and I worked 5 days in a row, and I will never work the night shift 5 days in a row again, ever. But the good news is that I am going to be getting my day shift back soon, eventually, whenever they get people hired for the night shift and stuff. So that's good news for me, and I'll be back to the regular videos for sure. I want to thank everyone for joining me. Welcome to any new subscribers that I have. Thank you for joining my channel. If you're stopping by and you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe. It's free. All right, well, thank you again, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye-bye.